Many people fail to see the cyclical nature of employment and are unprepared for the unexpected turns life may take. As an accomplished cook who loved to create unique taste combinations, Johnny rose to the position of executive chef at a prestigious five-star hotel in the city. Not even a basic cup of coffee was made in the kitchen without his oversight. Ernesto was a small child who lived next to the hotel. He would bring the leftover food scraps each day so that he could feed his mother and his younger brothers. He dared to approach the hotel management to inquire about a job chance when he turned 16. The youngster's willingness to earn his daily bread with dignity made the guy, who happened to be the owner's brother, happy, and he made a commitment to find the boy a job. A few days later, Ernesto was signing his contract to become the kitchen maintenance manager at the hotel at the Human Resources Department. His responsibility was keeping the kitchen, which served as the hotel's literal hub, spotlessly clean. Things were harder than he thought on his first day. Unaware of his employment, Chef Johnny started yelling at the homeless man in the kitchen, demanding to know why he was there. Ernesto answered, "I'd been hired to maintain the kitchen," with a great deal of trepidation. For Johnny, the rules were very obvious. He explained to him that he disliked having to repeat commands, was quite particular about cleanliness, and wanted the kitchen to be spotless. Ernesto was an extremely motivated young man who had no trouble following directions. He was also a productive worker who did an excellent job of keeping the kitchen tidy. He'd gotten along well with the assistant chef during the first week of work, and the chef himself had told him how much he enjoyed cooking. With pure intentions, the youngster informed him that he would be teaching him how to cook. There was a formal banquet that afternoon, and one of the sous cooks had an urgent medical matter. Ernesto was requested to lay down his broom and put on an apron in order to assist his friend. When chopping the veggies, the young man precisely followed the directions. The executive chef entered abruptly and became irritated at seeing Ernesto working in the kitchen. "What does this floor cleaner do in my kitchen?" he said angrily, lacking the grace to say anything. "This shows a lack of regard for the labor that cooks do. At our fine dining establishment, the chef is the knowledgeable one, not the one who aspires to cook. It's unfair that someone who essentially lifted themselves out of poverty comes to work for me while I attended the greatest cooking school in the world." Chef Johnny begged her to remove her apron and return to her cleaning duties. Ernesto thought that things were becoming too complicated. Feeling embarrassed, he removed his apron and started tidying up the mess that Chef Johnny had intentionally created in the kitchen. There was silence, and Ernesto was sobbing in private. The assistant chefs attempted to cheer up the young guy who seemed to be learning how to cook, while Chef Johnny went to oversee the dessert process. This youngster had a very stressful day since Chef Johnny would occasionally drop clues to the young man. He talked about those that mistreated others, didn't know their place, and threw aside trash just to make Ernesto pick it up. Ernesto informed his mother about his humiliation as soon as he arrived home. She gave him a hug, reassured him that no one could crush his aspirations, and underlined that he was talented enough to flourish without requiring the endorsement of a pretentious person like Chef Johnny. As the days passed, Chef Johnny's uneasiness with Ernesto grew. He went so far as to tell him that he was meant to sweep floors, and he seized every chance to make him feel miserable. On that particular occasion, though, the head of Human Resources overheard the chef humiliating Ernesto and requested him to show some respect for his colleague. If he didn't, a formal warning would have to be sent, which would be a very significant consequence. Johnny was even more enraged now, believing Ernesto was the one who should have given him the punishment. Johnny took his grievances on young Ernesto to the management a few days following that incident. He said that Ernesto's lack of initiative, his subpar cleaning, and his improper straightening of kitchen utensils endangered the hotel's reputation. After giving him a close listen, the manager questioned him about his proposal. Johnny said without hesitation that letting him go was the wisest course of action. Being a fair guy, the manager made the decision to speak with the other chefs who were employed in the kitchen. Ernesto was concerned about providing for his family while finding what he was hearing unbelievable. During his studies, the manager assured him that his mother would receive a full supply every month, so he didn't need to worry either. Ernesto rose to become an executive chef in just 2 years, and he kept researching specialist infusion cuisine. Ernesto was requested to report to his office the next day by the hotel management, who was aware that he was a cook already. This time, he made him an offer to work as the banquet chef. Ernesto was thrilled to agree since they were offering him a very good salary, which he would use to construct his family a nice home. He was a little nervous about working with Johnny, though. Seeing this, the management said Ernesto would have a separate office where he could make his menus and conduct meetings with clients in order to keep Johnny at bay. After a week, Ernesto had already made himself at home, and Johnny was jealous of the extras he thought the cook, who was a relative newcomer, was enjoying. The young man would not prosper at that hotel. He was determined. Chef Johnny thought he would have his opportunity to make the new chef appear terrible when it came time to attend Ernesto's first major function. Chef Ernesto went to bed the previous day, letting the chicken marinate and placing it in the fridge. After many hours the next day, as he was about to begin cooking the feast, he opened the chicken container and was overcome by an awful stink. The chicken was inedible. However that happened is unknown. Many pounds of chicken had gone bad, so Ernesto had to let management know what had happened. Johnny stepped in and indicated that there may have been improper preparation or abuse of an ingredient, but Ernesto argued that this was impossible because he had not used anything that could have produced the disagreeable odor. Ernesto was requested by management to come up with a remedy, and they promised to look into what went wrong. The meal went well, even though the young chef was unable to marinate the chicken as he had originally intended. He had purchased extra chicken. Once more, Johnny was furious, and became even more so when Ernesto received praise for overcoming the challenges. The management also put a video on a screen in front of the whole kitchen crew, showing Chef Johnny making changes to the marinated chicken that Ernesto had prepared. When presented with the facts, Johnny was forced to acknowledge his error and was subsequently let go. Ernesto went to the management to make an effort to help him, even though Johnny had repeatedly made fun of him. The management agreed to give Johnny another chance after the young guy persuaded him to do so. Chef Johnny was given another chance, but this time Ernesto was his boss, and he was recruited as a dishwasher. Johnny had to accept it even though it seemed like everything was upside down since no one else would hire him with such recommendations. How did you feel about the narrative? In Johnny's position, how would you have responded? I appreciate you seeing. Would you kindly like and post the video on social media? We promise to get back to you as soon as we can.